What's good, YouTube? This video is going to be about dealing with a non-affectionate man. So somebody wanted to know how to deal with a non-affectionate man. That was the question. I guess I'd like to start answering that by saying there's a difference between a person being non-affectionate, right, or affection adverse, right? A lot of guys are just not affectionate naturally. It's not a part of their nature, but they're not affectionate verse, right? They're not blocked in any way to give affection, right? They don't have any trauma in relation to receiving affection or receiving love. It's just not what they are, right? But they're capable, and they can be willing to share affection with you, right? That's okay, right? Just not naturally being affectionate. It's better than being affection adverse, which those people have issues accepting love, accepting intimacy. It's usually in relationship to some trauma that they experienced as a child, right? They normally have some shit that they've been through that causes them to be affection adverse, right? That they don't like to be touched. They don't like to be hugged. They don't want to be kissed. They refuse to do those things. It's not just that they don't think to do those things, right? So figure out which one your man is, right? Because a non-affectionate person is just neutral on affection, but doesn't think to do it. It's not their first nature. An affection adverse person is somebody who doesn't want affection, and they're trying to figure out how to navigate their relationships in the absence of affection. And the only way they can do that in a healthy way is date another person who has the same issue, who has that same trauma, and who has that same coping mechanism of keeping a lot of distance. Otherwise, you'll damage yourself trying to figure out how to make an affection adverse man love you the way you need to be loved, because he won't. And you'll learn that rejection that you get physically from him and emotionally, because affection is emotional based too, is appropriate. And you'll learn that that's what you deserve. So you'll start to think of yourself as less deserving of it because you're not receiving it. So it can be pretty damaging to you if you date someone you're just not compatible with because you decided that they're the one, or you like them, or you have emotions for them. So with that said, as long as a man is not affection adverse, he's just not naturally affectionate, you can work with that. Because you can tell him what your needs are. You can help give him perimeters. You can find solutions to his natural neglect of affection by giving him guidelines, by creating a regimen, by being very specific about what you request he does for you or does to you on a regular basis. You can have solution-based arguments or solution-based discussions about what he should do more, what you'd like to see more from him. You could just do the things that you want to be done to you until it becomes the culture in your relationship, and it feels odd if those things aren't being done. If you're dealing with someone who doesn't think to be affectionate but is affectionate once it's brought to them, then all you have to do is be the change you wish to see in your relationship. If you want your man to kiss you more, then kiss him more. If you want your man to hug you more, then hug him more. If you're discussing it, tell him, hey, I want to hug every day. I want to kiss when you get home. You can create rules and standards around these things until they become culture in your relationship. And if you have a man who's healthy minded and wants the best for his relationship, he's going to serve his relationship. He's going to nurture it. And he's going to water his relationship in the ways necessary to keep you engaged. Again, because he has no trauma associated with affection, with touch, with intimacy, and with receiving love. But too many women are trying to date a man who is love and affection adverse, who's experienced some trauma around that, who has difficulty expressing love and accepting love, and who really needs counseling and therapy for probably many years before he gets into a relationship. Men who are okay thrusting into a woman, but not okay hugging her or holding her or kissing her like he means it. It amazes me how many people can have sex but can't hug each other, can't hold each other, can't comfort each other. Everybody seems to be able to have sex. People have sex with strangers, but they have social anxiety. You got people too afraid to talk on the phone to each other. You got people too afraid to have a conversation about sex, but they can have it. You got people who are too affection adverse, who are have been through traumatic experience, don't want to be touched, don't want to be held, but they still having sex. Everybody seems to have all these issues of intimacy and affection and conversation, but they can all have sex. I feel like it's a coping mechanism. I feel like we're just skipping the challenge. Wherever the challenge might lie for you, a lot of people are skipping it. I don't think that anybody's incapable. I just think that everybody is choosing what they're willing to break through and work through and what they're not. A man not willing to be affectionate with you is so much different than a man who's just not naturally going to think about it the way you do, but will participate in affection. When you're dealing with a non-affectionate man, you have to make sure he is first at least willing to participate in affection. You don't have anything to work with if he's not willing to participate. You don't have anything to work with if he's disgusted with the idea of holding you or being affectionate without getting naked or taking his clothes off, right? You don't have anything to work with if affection to him is thrusting. And that's it. That's the only way you can be affectionate is to thrust. You don't have anything to work with. Stop trying to force something that won't be and taking on damage because you don't accept what is. For others of you, learn to communicate what your needs are specifically. And when you come to a man with a problem, also have a sensible solution to that problem, a very specific solution to that problem. Get out of this idea that, oh, he should already know, he should just know. Or because I had to tell him, it no longer counts. It still counts. If you tell a man what you need and he naturally didn't understand it or didn't know it, but he's willing to participate, he's willing to fulfill that need and make that attempt, it does count. And so what if he's doing it just because you want it? So what if he's doing it just because you asked him? A man who's willing to do what you want and a man who's willing to do what you ask, even if it's not natural to him, should get extra credit because that takes effort. That means he really does prioritize what you need because it's not naturally what he would have done. We can't require us from other people. So if a man's not affectionate, but he's participative, but he's willing, but he's dedicated and he's going to try, stop trying to tell him it doesn't count because he didn't think of it first, or it doesn't count because you had to tell him. You want him to want it. You can't be you and him. Let him be him and you be you. Let that man have his own nature. If he wants it just because you want it and he wants to give you what you want, that should be enough. Stop trying to critical think and overthink a man's intentions if all he's trying to do is give you what you want. And I don't believe that's where that young woman was going who asked that question, but I know a lot of y'all need to hear that. So often I'm on the phone with a client and a guy will be doing better, right? She'll be telling me, well, I talked to him about this and he's making an effort to do that, but I don't want him to do it just because I want him to do it. I want him to want to do it. Why are you being him and you? Just be you. Mind your business. Worry about you. This man is giving you what you asked for. Let that be enough. But stop overthinking what someone's doing and why they're doing it as long as they're giving you what you want. Their intention is to give you what you want. They want to give you what you want. That's enough. That's love. That's inconvenience. That's compassion. That's empathy. That's participation. That's cooperation. That's submission. Sometimes you don't feel like your partner feels about a love or affection or sex or cooking or cleaning or protecting or providing or whatever the thing or the responsibility is, but you do it anyway. It might not have been your idea. It might not have been your nature, but you do what it takes to keep your partner secure. So if you have a non-affectionate man who wants to try, get very specific. Think about the things you want him to do specifically to make you feel more wanted. Whether that's a kiss every morning, a kiss every night, a hug every morning, a hug every night, sex so many times a week, whatever it is that would make you feel more secure. Maybe a kind word, if words of affirmation is a love language of yours. Whatever type of affection you sit and think about and wish you were getting more of, get very specific about the opportunities that are often missed to give you that affection and point them out in real time sometimes. We have to train and teach people how to love us. They don't just know. Most of us have been in multiple relationships by the time we're adults, by the time we're 25, 30, some 35, 40, 50, anything, 60, anything, 70, anything. Most of us have been in so many relationships with people that we've picked up our dating habits and our relationship habits based on the relationships we've had, based on the needs of those other people that we used to be with. Each new person has to learn how to love you. And if you don't match what every other woman wanted from him, or every other woman required or requested, he may mishandle you. He may need to learn what it takes to be with you. So whether his issue is affection, or pick one of a million different issues he might have, his natural response to you or his automatic nature may be in closer relationship to those women he used to know. And he has to be trained on what you need and what you require and what makes you feel happy and secure. You shouldn't have to teach a man loyalty. You shouldn't have to teach a man morals and ethics and integrity and those types of things. But each time we get with a new person, we need to teach and train them on how to love us. And that needs to be a concerted effort. Just like when you go to a new job, they teach you how things are done there. They teach you your job. Even if you've done it before, someone's still assigned to train you. It's not that they don't have faith in you. It's not that they're not happy that you're there. It's that they want to make sure that you understand how to treat that job. For some reason, when we meet people, we almost skip training as a badge of honor. Like, we don't want to have to train them to do anything. We want them to just come in and be perfect, even though the people that they knew before us were completely different. That's not the case. So again, I guess to get back to the question, because this video is turning into a whole nother lesson. If you have a non-affectionate man that is affectionate versed, it's not a lot you can do with that outside of get that man counseling, because he probably has some traumas. He needs to go handle that. That's his thing to worry about and his thing to overcome. But if you have a man that just doesn't naturally show affection because he just doesn't think to do so, but he's willing to, train him on how to love you. Train him on what type of affection you need and you want. Don't just get upset because he's not naturally like your ex, who was a much better hugger or a much more frequent kisser or anything like that. You're learning how to love each other, and you're also learning each other's flaws. And that takes years sometimes. Anyway, I hope that helps. Follow me at KidFic24 on Instagram. If you need coaching, go to girltalkwithguys.com. The link's down below. I'll get with y'all later.